The next part I'll have to do off memory because my notes. So from memory, hang on. Sue Wareham, members of the Women's International League for Peace Freedom, would like you to rise to acknowledge your presence here today. Thank you. And we also recognise the fact that you are previous recipients of the Peace Prize. So thank you very much. I'd like now to introduce Angela Baker from the World Peace Flame Foundation to say a few words. Thank you, Angela.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay out there? Great. It is my absolute honour and pleasure to be here today, and thank you to Michael and to the Rotary Group for including me and the World Peace Flame, which you can see hanging above the striker here today, as well as over on the wall. I'm here to tell you a little bit about who the World Peace Flame Foundation are and what our aims are in the world of peace. We have a beautiful connection with the World Peace Bell, and a few weeks ago I made contact with Michael to let him know that at that time there were 24, I think, World Peace Bells around the world, and so too were there 24 World Peace Flame monuments. Michael and his team are working to have 100 peace poles given to 100 primary schools around Australia to celebrate 100 years of Rotary, and the World Peace Flame Foundation has a World Peace Pole right here in Canberra in Glebe Park. We also have an education package that I thought might be a great complement for the World Peace Poles that Michael is getting into schools around the country. So Michael and I have formed a great friendship and collaboration, and I'm very delighted to be here amongst such distinguished guests today to be part of this beautiful ceremony.
Thank you, Angela. Just a reminder too that just on the stone wall, just to my left-hand side as you came through, we do have a plaque acknowledging the winners of the Chief Minister's Rotary Peace Prize. So worth having a look on the way out. Now I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Raby, President of Rotary Club of Canberra, Burley Griffin.
Thank you very much. Get that down lower. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. I'd also like to acknowledge that this meeting and gathering is being held on Ngunnawal land, and I also pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and I extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who may be here today. The Chief Minister, Your Excellency, special guests and ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. The Climate Environment Minister is here, and he very kindly laid on the rain for us. And Robin, I think we were getting a message of support with that thunderclap at a very important moment. You know, wouldn't it be good to put one of those thunderclaps up some of those fellows who should be stopping doing what they're doing? But yes, I became aware of your work through my daughter. I know you and she do some work together. Our Rotary Club has been very proud to support your organisation, and we hope to have further contact in the future. This Peace Bell is providing a special place for citizens of Canberra to gather, reflect, to grieve and to hope. The location has been the venue for many special ceremonies during the year, including the Vigil for Christchurch. And Chief Minister, particularly thank you for the work that your people did, along with the New Zealand High Commission. We also met here to remember the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, August 6th and 9th. And it's interesting that in 1954, the first Peace Bell, which was donated to the United Nations, was presented by a former Japanese soldier. And in the year 1955, another Japanese gentleman created the idea of peace poles, of which there are 10 or hundreds of thousands around the world now. I guess it's what happens when somebody drops an atomic bomb on a couple of your cities. Yes, you were an aggressor. Yes, war was terrible, but does war have to be so devastating? December 10 last year, we rang this peace bell at that time for 63 women, Robin, who'd been killed last year through domestic violence. By the end of the December of 66. That was probably one of the most moving events I've ever experienced. I think about 36 people circulated the bell as we rang it, and you could just feel the mood drop as we named each woman and gave her age. And the ages, by the way, ranged last year from 15 to 92. But it's not only in grieving, it's also a bell of hope, and recently we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the Baltic Chain, where and with many of the Chorus of Women, we watched a wonderful movie that night about the fight for freedom from domination by another country. If you have an important ceremony or you're connected with a group and you'd like to conduct an event here, please contact the Rotary Club of Canberra Burleigh Griffin. Just go to our webpage and suitable arrangements may be able to be made. As an extension of our work, as Angela has mentioned, we're encouraging schools to make an excursion to Lennox Gardens here and to the Peace Bell. Our Rotary Club conducts tours through the park. We talk about Beijing Gardens, we talk about Narra Peace Park, we talk about the monument to the Spanish War. We talk about the tree behind you, the Hanoi Friendship Tree, and being a gentleman that was eligible for the draft, I would have preferred the French had have just gone home in 1945 when Ho Chi Minh made the speech, but they didn't. So a lot of things happen here. But to extending our work, we are trying to place, as Angela said, 100 peace poles in 100 schools for 100 years of Rotary, which falls due in 2021. That offer is open to any school, particularly primary schools, and we are tapping into the many thousands of visits of primary schools to Canberra each year. And it's quite a moving ceremony up here when the students ring the bell, and they all quote the words of Lao Tzu, which you've been hearing today when that bell is rung.